Okay, let's do this. So, thank you guys for joining us Friday afternoon. Yay. I am super excited to introduce our guest today, Allie Rawl. She is a senior loan officer at Live Oak Bank. Been there about 10 years, working exclusively with veterinary practices and owners, future owners. In her day-to-day role, she helps DVMs navigate the full lending process from getting a loan ready to underwriting to all the way through closing. She helps make sure everything lines up with the SBA requirements, which can be a beast in itself. We all know that. What I really appreciate about Allie is that she brings a strong understanding of the current market and explains in a way that actually makes sense. So that'll be good for us today. No unnecessary jargon. She doesn't overcomplicate things, just practical guidance around expansion, equipment purchases, long-term successes, all for vet med. She also, I'm sure we've seen these, contributes to today's veterinary business periodicals, which I've shared a few on our private Facebook page. So I like them. I'm sure that you do too. She writes about things like buying an existing practice, basics of working capital, which tells you, again, just how committed she is to the education in this space. On a personal note, I have genuinely enjoyed spending time with Allie, and I'm confident that you will today. It shouldn't be any different from that. Allie, thank you for being here. We're thrilled to have you. Tell us everything we now need to know about fetching funding.
Thank you, Megan, for the introduction. Very warm and welcoming. Thank you all for joining us on this Friday. Excited to share a little bit about Live Oak for those of you who do not know about us. Megan obviously gave a good introduction. Allie Rawl, been with Live Oak for 10 years. And just kind of want to run through where we play in the market, how we can help you, and learn a little bit more about SBA, Live Oak, and myself. So I was telling Megan prior to, I'm learning AI. This is my dog Dare. Once was a tennis ball, now he is fetching some cash. So a little bit about me. I am, as I've mentioned, been with Live Oak for 10 years now. I have had experience on our servicing team and our construction team. I've been with the vet lending team for the last 5 years. Um, my favorite team I've been with at the bank thus far, more or less because of the people I get to work with, right? It's just a wonderful industry. I think doctors across the board in the vet med space are just make each day much more enjoyable for my job. So I've got two yellow labs. You can see here, this is my 10-year-old, 11 now, and my 2.5-year-old. I am expecting my second child this August. We are in Wilmington, North Carolina. If you guys have not been here, please come visit. We would love to host you on our campus, show you around our cool, historic downtown and beach town area. And I am lending on deals from Alaska all the way to Florida. So I get an opportunity to touch projects all across the country, from startups, expansions, relocations, you name it. We have probably looked at it. For you guys who do not know about Live Oak Bank, we were founded in 2008 in the veterinarian medicine field. So we have been lending in the vet space for almost 20 years now. We produced 36.7 billion in origination since 2008. We are very focused on each industry we work in. So we lend to about 30 different industries here at Live Oak. I, of course, only work with the best veterinarians, but we're from funeral homes to dentists to investment advisors, you name it. We have probably looked at lending to it. We are also a preferred lender through the SBA, which means we do all of our lending, closing, everything in-house. Try to streamline the process the best we can. We're FDI insured. As I mentioned, 30 different industries that we lend through. We are the #1 SBA lender in the country by volume. We've got almost 1,000 employees here now, which is very hard to believe, but we're very small business focused. And as we say here, we're dedicated to the doers like you guys who are your own small business owners. Again, my dog, I don't know if you guys are into the orthopedic side, but we had a replaced Achilles tendon 3 years ago. That was quite an experience, learned a lot. Grew a deeper understanding for the specialty side of vet med, which we are loving lending to. We see a lot of those niche industries coming through. If it wasn't for the vet tech, shout out to the vet techs across the world, this would have not been a fun experience for us. You can tell here she was decorating his cast every time we went in, which was weekly for a cast change. So we went from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day, and each time we went for a pickup, it was very entertaining. So he's doing great. Saved a lot of years off of his life, it felt like. So a little bit more about the doggy bank, which we like to say we're affectionately known as. We've had multiple veterinarians that have been on our staff here. Previous members include Dr. Carol Hart and Dr. Jess Tressell. Dr. Glenn Hostis was a previous board member for us. And one of the founders of the bank, Vince Daly, has been on our team since inception. He is probably the third or fourth employee of Live Oak, and he has only been lending in the vet space from day one. So we see across the industry that the default rate in your space is so minimal. On our portfolio, it's less than 1%. And we just have a great understanding from our credit team to our construction, underwriting, closing, you name it. We have a great understanding per team of how the vet space works. So anyone you would work with across the process is specific to vet med, which I think goes a really, really long way. So you know a little bit about who I am, who we are. Now, what do we do, right? A lot of what we do is startups. Maybe some of you were in a corporate practice previously or have been in a corporate practice, and you didn't love it very much. So you wanted to go and do your startup or start your own business. A lot of my business is doing just that. We will do ground up, we'll do a leasehold space if need be. However, we can help get you starting your business. We've seen mobile clinics, you name it, we've probably looked at it. Along those lines, we also do expansions. You're in that space, you realize, wow, this is going great, me doing it on my own. I really want to grow my business from 2,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet. We see a lot of expansions, renovations, relocations, ground up construction projects, second or third locations, specialty practice, as I mentioned, orthopedics, oncology, ophthalmology, dermatology. We've really looked at a lot of the different specialties, seen a lot of neurology come through as well. We really like those big, kind of scary deals that feel intimidating for you to even consider starting. We love to partner on those with you and walk through how we've seen success across the country of those types of businesses. We also really love the emergent care and urgent care space. And then we offer an express lending, which I'll talk a little bit more about later in the presentation. I think it's a really good opportunity for capital for some businesses across the country that maybe you're needing some quick dollars for something. The 5 C's of credit. So just so you can have a little understanding of what lenders are maybe looking for when you're going to request those type of requests we just talked about. And I also have another dog, as I mentioned earlier. This is Tilly. She's the female on the left, and then Dare is my dog on the right, all healed after his Achilles tendon. So at Live Oak, we are a cash flow lender, which means we'll look at how your current practice is operating and we'll run a cash flow analysis on it, just to ensure that as a lender, we're not going to over leverage yourself or your business. Along along the classifications of cash flow lender, we also will look at your character, your capital, your conditions, and the collateral on the loan. And I'll talk a little bit about this more as well, but not only are we a cash flow lender, but we understand that we may have to lean into projections for your project, right? Of course, that's the case on a startup deal where maybe you're doing out of a corporate practice, you're producing $1 million, but in your own practice, you may be able to produce 1.2. So our credit team understands that we'll lean into projections not only when you're starting up a practice, but when you're growing your practice from that 2 to 3 exam rooms to 5 to 6 exam rooms. So that's a unique thing about us here is that we're comfortable knowing, hey, we think that you can do this, and gets us an approval from there. What is a 7A SBA loan and why should I consider them? Again, I just love throwing in any pictures of my dogs I can. If you guys haven't had a chance to come to Wilmington yet, we are located on the water. And a lot of our time is spent swimming and being outdoors. So there's a handful of different type of loans we do here at Live Oak. I've kind of highlighted a couple of the ones that are the most prominent that we use on our team. I specifically, a lot of the times, play in the space of the SBA 7A program. If you are not familiar with it or you have worked with it, you know that there are some guidelines. It can be challenging at times, but it's a really great product when you're looking at starting up a business, heavy construction, heavy real estate. So a couple things about that is there is a $5 million runway on the SBA loan. And there are multiple guidelines through the SOP that we at Live Oak and any other lender that's in the SBA space has to follow. The document changes, it's 500 plus pages long. So we really do pride ourselves on knowing what the rules and requirements are to set you up for success to say, this is actually what the rules are. This is how you should be prepared to move forward in an SBA loan rather than just hoping we maybe have it right and put you in a predicament. So, positive thing about the SBA program is if you are relocating or you're expanding or you want to do a second location, you do qualify for 100% financing. If you are a startup doctor, there is a 10% injection requirement through the SBA. Once you've been opened and operational for 1 full year, you're considered established in the eyes of the SBA. And that's when, if you look to relocate, we can qualify you for the 100% financing. Conventional lending is something we do offer here at Live Oak. That is a bank guideline, not based off of the SBA. So we sort of get to make our own rules, but of course, our credit team likes to play it safe in certain scenarios. So it's case by case, deal by deal, if a conventional loan is going to be the best option for you. Sometimes it's a smaller approval amount. It does have injection requirements at times. So again, we really do pride ourselves on knowing maybe what product is best for you to utilize as you're growing your business. The 504 is another SBA program that is used for much larger scale programs. Maybe if you're in California, the larger states, this may be a better option for you. Again, something we can always walk through if that is something you're interested in. And then the SBA Express, this has been a newer product for the SBA and for us at Live Oak. We've had great success for doctors who are needing additional working capital. Maybe you're looking at bringing on that second or third DVM and you need some additional capital to hire them. This has been a great opportunity for that. Or you're really wanting to look at a new ultrasound or CT scan, and maybe the financing options aren't your favorite through the equipment program. So we offer financing for equipment and a couple other options if you're looking to maybe refinance some debt or you're looking to improve a space that you're in. We can also help with the express loan from there. The benefits of the SBA program, I've kind of touched on a couple of them thus far, but the positive is 100% financing, right? Most conventional loans do require about a 25 to 35% down payment. Really, on the SBA side of things, it's 100% financing or the 10% if you're looking to start a business. The terms are great if you're purchasing real estate and doing heavy construction. You can amortize your loan over 25 years, which in the long term really helps you lengthen out those payments and is very beneficial. If you're looking to do a leasehold, the terms are somewhere around 10 years. So working capital is typically a 10-year term as well, but that can be rolled into your SBA 7A if you're doing a heavy construction project and then would be amortized over 25 years. So say you're relocating, buying a commercial real estate, and you're doing a heavy construction project, everything is included in one loan, one closing done in-house with Live Oak. Your working capital, your interest only, your equipment, you name it, it's in the loan. I'll go through a couple of case studies at the end of this just to show you what that looks like and maybe a good opportunity if there are any questions to ask from there. So the Express program that we've talked a little bit about is really niche in the market from $10,000 to $350,000. Very quick capital, think 3 to 4 weeks that you're getting the funds. It's up to 10 years. And a very large benefit of this program is there is no prepayment penalty, which is very helpful if you're looking for, as we discussed earlier, maybe bringing on that doctor, getting the doctor into your practice, getting up operational, then you see that you can repay the term and there's no prepayment penalties on that. It's a digital application. We have tried to make it as streamlined and as seamless for you as possible, and there is no personal collateral requirement on this. So I've worked with Granite Peak for some time now, think very highly of them as a whole. If you're on this call in general, you're already building out really great teams for yourself and your practice. They're very familiar with this program, and if it seems to be of a benefit to you, it is something that they are familiar with as well. So, talked about this. Where's this express coming into play, right? The working capital needs, equipment purchases. Maybe you wanted to acquire another business for strictly the business acquisition. That can be helpful. Startups as well, see it a lot in the mobile space. Been very beneficial for those doctors from there. This is a little bit about the program. It is the requirements and the highlights of no prepayment penalty, FICO score 680 or higher. Just if it's not a startup, we like to look at 2 years of business operations. As we've discussed, the bank was founded in the veterinarian space, so we do have a very comfortability level with our credit team, and there are certain carve-outs for our team to do. So there may be some benefits for being in the vet space aside from just being in the vet space. How our process works, right? What does it look like if you say one of those options or one of those loan programs sounds like something I really need or something I would like to do? I'll kind of walk through how those processes work and what that could look like for you. And I hope like this presentation, my dog's sleeping, I'm not putting anyone to sleep with talking about financing because it's riveting, just like CPA world. So as we've already discussed, if you're on the call, you've already put together the right teams, right? So you've already got the right CPA, you've already got you've maybe have discussed financing with someone, you're putting together the vendors for your project. I always like to focus on how that is so imperative for you and your business. If you're already operating a business, your mind is really on the operations of the business, and you want people who are helping you do whatever type of project you're doing to know the space, know the industry, and be a true trusted partner for you. The pre-qualification process is where we would start. So that's discussing what your plan is, right? Do you want to relocate? Do you want working capital? Do you want to do a secondary location? So just knowing where your mind is for your business and your growth, that's really step one, right? Then we'll collect some financial information from you. We've tried to make that as simplified as possible, few forms of just personal information, maybe business information if need be. From there, we run a very quick analysis of how the business is doing, what maybe the business will be doing. And from there, we issue a proposal letter. The proposal letter from us is about a 7 to 9 page document that is truly soup to nuts of what your loan rate, term, structure, you name it, it's probably in there. Very helpful for you to make decisions once you've received that on how to best move forward. If you like what you see and you decide this is what I want to do, I'm going to move forward with this process, we go into our formal underwriting process. Underwriting is essentially, imagine they're telling the story to the credit team. So they'll take a super deep dive into personal, business, the plans for what you're looking to do, and then they will write that story to our credit team and present it as exactly what you're looking to do. Our credit team, again, loves the vet space. We have a very, very strong relationship with them. As long as they're comfortable, everything checks the boxes, we issue a commitment letter. Commitment letter is you agreeing to working with us and us agreeing to work with you formally. Once that process has been completed, we then go into our closing. And again, each member of the team that you're working with, from credit to closing to construction to underwriting, is vet specific. So they know how to share that story with the credit team because they look at vet deals all day, every day. The closing process, depending on what your transaction looks like, we like to allocate 40 to 60 business days. This is when we're going to be collecting all of the third-party requirements that are needed through the SBA for closing, any sort of additional business information, and then the fun part of actually closing and signing your loan documents and starting your next project.
Allie, I have a question real quick because it came up this morning. there's a lot of private acquisitions going on, right? And so the owner seller feels even with valuations, right? It's my baby. I feel like it's valued more. The seller's really interested, thinks they can grow it, right? Like, where's that middle space? Do you guys allow any wiggle room for like this is what it looks like on paper, but we think it can grow to this?
Great question. So if you're acquiring a business and there is a business valuation done on that, the SBA does have requirements on what we can lend to, right? So we cannot lend past what a business valuation comes back at. Those are all third-party reports. So we have no say in telling the valuation company, hey, this business could actually do this. So we could only fund what the actual acquisition of the practice is. In some of those scenarios, that's where maybe instead of acquiring an existing practice, maybe starting your own is a better bet.
Okay. We had another question come in. If you want to do an expansion project but don't have a piece of land, can you still apply for the loan and start payments before the project starts?
Good question. That wouldn't be the most beneficial to you. So you could, of course, start the process. There's no harm and no foul in that, and it doesn't cost you anything. We would, a lot of times, what we do on the front is we do make some assumptions, right? You could say maybe the land you're looking at is anywhere from $400,000 to, no, depending on where you are, 800,000, maybe plus, give or take, right? So we can make an assumption that the cost of your land could be around that price. And then you want to build a 4,000 square foot practice. We work with contractors all across the country and can make some assumptions on what your price per square foot will look like. So you could have a very rough estimate of what your loan could be and what it could look like, monthly payments, rate term, all of those sorts of things. But it wouldn't be beneficial to close on the loan until you have the piece of property under contract, you know it's zoned accordingly, you've got a couple of ducks in a row before you close on a loan. We just never want to over leverage a doctor, and closing on a project before we have a couple of puzzle pieces in place isn't very beneficial.
Thank you.
Perfect. So if you are looking at doing said expansion project or something along those lines, and you currently have a practice, we're going to be looking for last 3 years of your business tax returns and your personal tax returns. If they're coming from Granite Peak, we know that they are in tip-top shape, which is our favorite to see. We also would want to look at your W-2 personal financial statement to show what your personal liquidity might look like at this time, what maybe any outstanding payments you have. So personal financial statement would be a requirement. And then your year-end production report. This is if you're looking to do a startup project, right? So we could say this doctor did $1 million last year in production from the practice they are currently in. If they go out and do their own, they can do that or plus some. So those are the personal items we would need. And then if your business is existing, that tax return, profit and loss statement to show what you're on track for the year. And then if there is a debt schedule, if you have any outstanding debt with any other institution, we would like to see that because we do account for that in our cash flow analysis. Couple of other key items. If you're doing any sort of expansion project, again, back to the startup projects, we want to see the business plan that you have in place. I discussed that I used AI earlier. It is a world where AI is coming in very strong. We have seen a lot of people have good success from putting together a very strong business plan on AI. I do think it is helpful for you to really think through what will my practice look like. Of course, you have to prompt the AI with something. So it's always good to know that you're really thinking through how you want your practice to look. We would require projections, 3 years to be specific. We want to see what you think you're going to do in revenue, how the practice is going to operate, what your expenses may look like. And we can always help however you need on a projections template. They can seem daunting sometimes, but we like to try to streamline and help however we can. We also would request the projections if you're looking to expand. Again, if you're going from 2 to 3 exam rooms to maybe 5 to 6, how do we think those additional exam rooms can bring in revenue to your practice and what do you anticipate per room? And then if are you exploring an acquisition? If you are, we do want to collect the seller's last 3 years business tax returns to ensure you are getting a good value for what the asking price on the practice is. The profit and loss statement from that practice, balance sheet, and any sort of a purchase agreement, right? We want to make sure that you do have an asking price, what that may look like. Is it an acquisition on strictly the practice? Is there a real estate acquisition involved? The more answers we have, the better we can assist. Of course, same on the expansion side of things. Always nice to have a construction budget, at least have had a conversation with the contractor. Again, we're doing projects all across the country, so we can make some assumptions to say, hey, we've seen projects costing XYZ price per square foot in this market, and then in this market, we're maybe seeing it XYZ again, right? A little bit more. And then, of course, would like to see a letter of intent or some sort of a purchase agreement if you're purchasing real estate. Helps the underwriter be able to share that full picture of what your project looks like to our credit team. Some other information that would be collected that's always helpful to go ahead and start thinking about on the front end of the process. Makes the streamline of closing a little bit easier. There will be insurances that are requested. Of course, if you have an agent or there's someone that you're working with, our team will have direct contact with them. If you're operating a business, we understand your day-to-day is very busy and we like to take off your plate as much as we possibly can. Any corporate documents you maybe are going to be putting together if you're starting a business or that you already have. Think your EIN documentation, articles of incorporation, bylaws, those type of documentation is something we will require to have prior to closing. And then any other practice-related items, if you've got a leasehold in place, your professional license, a couple of those, maybe there's a survey on the property, those types of items would be requested. Go ahead, Megan.
Okay. How closely do the two companies work together on projects on behalf of the business owner, Granite Peak and Live Oak? Does being a client of Granite Peak make things easier for the business owner? Yes.
Yeah,
Allie, take it away.
100%. Talked about a little bit midway through, but building your team of the right people who understand the vet med space is so critical. Obviously, Granite Peak knows it better than anyone, right? They are day in and day out looking at practices all across the country. They know maybe when your business can grow. They know maybe what your business needs before anyone else in some cases, right? So the fact that you're already working with them and the fact that you could work with us, it's a wonderfully built relationship. We've got a lot of trust in each other, and I think it goes a long way. I, I've said it before, but when you see a tax return come in from somebody who has no vet experience, it's maybe a cousin or a relative who's a CPA and does file returns but doesn't really do the best job, it just can make accounting for, maybe your cost of goods or your staffing or some things are a little askew on your returns or your profit and loss. And that is never the case with Granite Peak. They know what goes where, and it helps bottom line, top line, and helps us get comfortable with what cash flow looks like.
I think
Very
then too, then we have the conversations, right? It's easier for us to exchange the documents. So I think the owners can be a little bit more hands off because we can have that communication amongst
Great
ourselves.
point. It's not even just on the front end that the communication's great. It's on the back end as well. At Live Oak, we do service loans. So once your loan is closed, we are also keeping a pulse on how your business is operating. And we do request quarterly and yearly financial information just to ensure the business is, everything is open in operation and stable. And that's one less thing you'd have to worry about. We can work directly with the Granite Peak team. We do that quite often, where we can send documentation back and forth that they may need for their tax filings or that we may need for our portfolio. So that was a great question. So who knows? Maybe my son will be in vet med one day. If I'm still lending at that point, I'll give him the best loan rate term I possibly can. He is obsessed with this small little vet medicine kit we got him for Christmas, and he is always playing doctor on Tilly. So just a couple of case studies I want to run through so you can see this would be part of what a proposal letter would look like. And you can kind of see how we break out what your loan looks like. So this was a case study for a relocation in Washington State. Doctor owned the real estate that they were in, but were ready to grow and expand from there. Purchased another building, went from 2,400 square foot to 6,400 square feet. And you can see here where we break out what we purchased or what we helped the doctor fund. So we helped on the real estate purchase, construction cost, plans and permits, architecture and engineering fees. The contingency is a buffer for what maybe comes over from the construction budget. We typically buffer somewhere around 10% of total construction cost. It's just there as a safeguard. We typically see on our portfolio using about 6% of that contingency. Um, Soft cost related to the loan. You can see here on this budget interest reserve. So in a lot of scenarios, we do budget for maybe 12, 18 months, depending on what type of project you're doing, of interest only, right? So you are not paying principal and interest until you're actually in the practice, open and operational. A lot of times we cover the interest reserve in the loan proceeds, and you're not coming out of pocket per se until you're actually on your principal and interest payments and you're in the practice, open and operational, streaming cash flow from there. This doctor opted out of those interest payments and was paying them out of pocket, had a strong practice, and felt that that was not needed to have the additional interest reserve in the loan use of proceeds. We funded the equipment, appraisal cost, environmental, anytime you're buying a building, stay clear of a gas station or any sort of dry cleaning facilities. Those places sometimes can just have contaminants in the soil. That's what the environmental report is for, just to ensure that you are purchasing a property that has no issues and can become a vet clinic. Covers the legal fees on our side, loan documentation prep, those types of things are included in that. Title work and surveys. There is a guarantee fee associated with utilizing the SBA that is included in the loan, and the fee goes directly to the SBA. It is not collected through Live Oak. The fee is a percentage based off of what your total loan amount looks like. So that will fluctuate depending on what you end up lending at the end of the day. Small packaging fee here, and then of course working capital. So given this was a real estate transaction, this was all amortized over 25 years, one closing done in-house with us. And this doctor has seen great success from adding the additional square footage and exam rooms in their practice. A little bit of a similar scenario, but I wanted to talk through a unique option we offer here at Live Oak. This doctors, I will say, were relocating out of a leasehold space. They had just opened in 2023. They had received financing through a conventional lender and realized we're doing really well and we want to grow, grow, grow. So they came to us with an option to purchase an existing piece of real estate and wanted to grow from 3,200 square feet to 8,000 square feet. We were able to get our credit team comfortable based off of the doctor's production levels and what we thought they could do in the new location. This particular practice had existing debt with the conventional lender for their leasehold space. Positive for working with Live Oak is we were able to leave that debt in place. So we didn't require for them to refinance, which was very helpful. Doctors loved that. They could keep a relationship with the bank that helped them initially start their business, and then we were the bank that was able to help them grow their business. The unique case here is this is a pari passu loan. So as we discussed at the very forefront of the meeting, the SBA has a $5 million cap on the SBA 7A program. We then, in this particular project, offered a pari passu loan, which is where we mimic our SBA 7A loan on a conventional term. Our credit team has just gotten comfortable with the vet space. Again, I've said it multiple times, but this is a really unique scenario when the projects are getting past that $5 million mark, right? We can go up to about 9.5 is really where we like to cap ourselves, but this is a really great scenario if you're in a, real estate's really pricey where you are, you're wanting to build a larger practice. Both of these loans are amortized over 25 years. And the pari passu loan truly does mimic what the SBA loan looks like. Again, these doctors opted for interest reserve payments coming out of their own pocket, but you can see everything that we covered in this loan. Very large construction heavy project, expensive real estate, and these doctors also are having great success in a new, larger practice. So we do love to help grow your practice, however that may look. You may not be going from 3,200 square feet to 8,000 square feet. You may just want to grow with a, $25 or $250,000 working capital request to bring in another doctor, right? It doesn't have to be this massive growth. Whatever your growth looks like, we more than likely have an option to help here at Live Oak. And of course, love any chance we get to work with doctors all across the country. So if with that, I can see if there's any additional questions.
Not at the moment, but that's great. It makes me think of like all of the exciting things we should be doing.
All of the options. There's so many.
Oh. Do people come to you like I go to VMX and I find a machine I want and then come to you and get a loan and that kind
Yeah,
of
we
thing?
just give them the cash right there at the booth. They come
Just
up, we have it all ready to go. It's like they stand in the booth and just cash goes everywhere.
they had those cash machines at the booth this
I
year.
did see that this year at Vegas. I thought about stepping in and seeing how my luck could play in one of those things. Not always good on the tables, but
Any questions? Here we go. Do you take clients for line of credit checking savings accounts with potential loans for future?
great questions. We love checking in savings. Line of credit is not necessarily on our books right now. It is something we have discussed, but checking in savings, we have great rates. You can email me. I'd be happy to introduce you to the team here that can help you with that.
Check all the boxes. Okay. Anybody else? Last minute questions? I'm gonna say it's because you answered everything, Allie.
Well, hey, if somebody has a question later that they're maybe too nervous to ask now, I don't think there's any dumb question in financing. It's a lot of, a lot of moving parts go into projects like we've discussed. So my contact information's here. The whole Granite Peak team knows how to get in touch with me. So if maybe later you realize, oh, I might want to ask a question or check in on something, shoot me an email. That's my direct cell. You can text me, call me, anything you might have. I'm happy to talk through it with you and help however we can.
Here we go. Let's put you in the hot seat. How are your interest rates compared to other lenders?
Great question. Interest rates, we follow Wall Street Journal Prime here at Live Oak. On the SBA side of things, that's pretty traditional. And I have not touched on this, but it's a positive to know that on the SBA side of things, there is a 3-year prepayment penalty associated with your loan. So a lot of times, in some cases, we're just a short-term solution for your long-term gain, where we're going to help you get that real estate, get that construction project open and operational, and then you may find yourself, once that 3-year prepayment penalty is up, that starts on the day that you close on your loan, you may be looking at refinancing with a conventional lender who maybe couldn't help you on the front end, but once you're showing cash flow positive, they may be able to get you into a little bit of a better interest rate option. I do think, wish I had a clear picture of what macro and microeconomics looked like in our world right now. If I had a crystal ball, who knows what it would read. But I do think in the market right now, it's a good time for doing a project. The way interest rates are trending, we've seen decreases from the Fed over the last 3 meetings. So we are at 6.75 as it stands today.
Okay. I just have to say it's so funny because you set me up. I was going to talk about next month's webinar is Jeremy Bess and Patrick Luce from Santec, and they are talking about macro and microeconomics.
I'll be joining that one if I can. I would love to learn more.
I was like, we didn't even plan this ahead of time. They were on our podcast a couple months ago, and they explained the economy in a way that I think I understood. So I think everybody should join us. Allie, I'll send you the invite. As always, today's recording will be on our YouTube channel. You can reach out to Allie. You can reach out to any of us. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Allie. This was great. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you,
Thank
Megan.
you. Bye.
Have a good one.